Call to order the City of Oroville Planning Commission meeting of October 27th, 2022. Please call roll.
Commissioner Rossi?
Here.
Commissioner Holland? Here. Commissioner Sheard?
Here.
Commissioner Jensen? Commissioner Durling? And Vice Chairperson Jenkins.
Here. Please stand and join me for the President Pledge of Allegiance. Salute and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are you seated? Is there anybody that is here to speak on any non-agenda items?
Mr. Chairperson, I have 0 blue speaker cards for this meeting.
Thank you. Item 1, approval of minutes.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Open voting.
Motion carries with 4 yeses and 2 absent.
We will move on to our public hearings. Item number 2, minor use permit for oversized signage at 491 Oro Dam Boulevard. Staff report, please.
Okay, this review is for a use permit to allow oversized signage at 491 Oro Dam Boulevard. 2 new wall signs are proposed, and there is an existing pole sign from the previous use, Hidalgo's Restaurant, which would be refaced for the new occupant, Western Dental. The proposed wall signs individually would be in compliance with our sign code's size requirements, but combined with the existing pole sign, the total area allowed for signage is exceeded by 64.5 square feet. The project is located along Oroville's main thoroughfare and is near other businesses with oversized signage. And comments at the Development Review Committee were in favor of project approval. There have been no changes to the project since the Development Review Committee.
Thank you. Does there an applicant wishes to speak on this, or?
Yeah, we just wanted to point out just a couple simple facts that, yes, the building signs by themselves meet code. The sign is existing, as you can probably guess by the shape. It looks like this was originally Denny's restaurant once upon a time. And the new tenant in leasing the property did so with the thought that they were getting the exposure, being able to reface the existing sign. So it was actually that's why we're going through this entire process. It was a point of contention, the redevelopment, when they saw, Panda Express and Starbucks across the street, go in with building signs and a big pylon sign and a monument sign, they thought there'd be no issue in, leasing and rebranding this. So then when it came up, when we submitted to planning, they said, well, you can use it, but you have to go through the use permit process. So that's the background why we're here. We're not asking for anything crazy. Like I said, the building signs by themselves comply to code, and this is just a reuse of an existing sign.
Thank you. You may have more questions after the Planning Commission has this discussion.
Yeah, I can answer any questions anyone might have.
Thank you. Open public hearing.
Mr. Chairperson, there are no public speakers for this.
We'll close the public hearing. Limit discussion between planning commissioners.
So that's the existing sign that's there now, that that one, that's
Yellow.
the yellow?
Yes.
Yes, it still says Hidalgo's.
Yes.
Okay. So all they do is plan on using that same exact sign with just their name on it? No other
Right.
changes?
No expansion of the footprint of that sign. It's just a reface. Yeah.
Okay, just as is?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that a lighted sign?
I believe so. I think it is.
Yes, it is. And if you look in the photo of the bottom left-hand corner, you can kind of see on the right side of the photo, you can see the Starbucks Panda Express sign. Yeah, better have it there.
If there are no more questions or comments, open to a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the minor use permit for the oversized signage at 491 Oro Dam Boulevard.
Second.
Is that enough, Jackie?
As agenda-sized?
Yes. Oop, I hit it. Sorry.
I think it's a neat-looking mid-century kind of sign. I like it.
Motion carries with 4 yeses and 2 absent.
Gotta push that thing really hard.
Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it, and y'all have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing this.
No problem.
We'll move to item 3, minor use permit for outpatient services at 2175 Feather River Boulevard. Staff report, please.
Okay, this review is for a use permit for outpatient services in a new multi-tenant commercial building on 2175 Feather River Boulevard, which is zoned MXC corridor mixed use. The project site, currently vacant, is immediately south of the Bulldog Express drive-through. CompPro's Outpatient Services would like to have the potential to be one of the 4 tenants in the event of an expansion of their business operations. Otherwise, they'll market the space to another organization providing outpatient services. The other 3 tenants are undetermined. The structure is compatible with the proposed structure is compatible with the Oroville design guidelines for commercial and multi-tenant spaces. Specifically noted as well aligned with the guidelines were the design and use of articulation, materials, awnings, and entrances. Parking requirements for general retail are met by the proposed 40 spaces. This has changed from 45 since the Development Review Committee meeting, where the fire marshal commented that there would need to be additional space in the parking lot for fire truck entry and exit. The additional space, permits for signage will need to be submitted separately from this application. And a sign program, which is typical of multi-tenant buildings, may be required. Sign programs can allow multi-tenant buildings a slightly more flexible maximum total allowed sign area, as well as ensuring that all signs are aesthetically compatible throughout the facility. The proposed lighting model shows foot candle intensities that are compliant with Oroville's outdoor lighting performance standards. Landscape plans include a variety of drought-tolerant plants and drip irrigation in accordance with the city's landscaping standards. A landscape maintenance agreement will need to be approved by the Parks and Trees Department prior to occupancy. And the proposed trash enclosure shows adequate height, is gated and covered, and is on a concrete slab as required by our development standards.
Thank you. Is there an applicant here for this project that wishes to speak?
Looks like we do not have the applicant. He was present at the Development Review Committee meeting, but it appears he's not here tonight.
Okay. Open for public comment.
There are 0 public speakers for this item.
We will close public comment, limit discussion between planning commissioner and staff. Any questions or comments?
Is there a way to make sure when they get tenants in there that the landscaping is always maintained, Dawn?
They will be signing a landscape maintenance agreement.
The what?
They will be signing a landscape maintenance agreement for the
That
property.
with the city or
With the city, and it gets recorded against the property.
Okay, so,
And that
Then-
gives us the teeth to take over if they don't do it.
so if they don't
adequately.
keep it to minimum standards of landscaping, then the
Then code
landscape.
enforcement goes after them for noncompliance.
But how different is that from the other ones that code enforcement doesn't have time to go after?
Well, there are many businesses in town that don't have landscape maintenance agreements.
Okay.
So it's more difficult to go after them. They don't have any teeth there. For properties that have the landscape maintenance agreement, they go after them. It's a lengthy process because there's periods of time for between each notice before action is taken. Otherwise, sometimes the property owner will act immediately in good faith, so.
Is there a way to have them do sort of a a drought, and I don't mean drought resistant for the sake of being, not necessarily just for environmental reasons, but for easily maintained. It's just stone
There-
block and what have you, so it's,
Yes, the landscaping needs to follow model water efficient landscaping standards. So it has to be a water efficient application.
okay.
And that's reviewed by the city's arborist prior to installation.
So that still has to be gone through
Yes.
with the city?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. That's my only
And
question.
this is the same applicant who's doing the workers' comp building, right, on?
The old
Correct.
AAA building, yes.
Yes. And that's for people who have workers' comp claims at work, like their back hurts, their shoulder hurts. Is that what that is?
Yes.
Okay. And so he wants to use this maybe as another place to be able to put people,
Right.
to extend that business. And then if not, he'll rent
Right.
it out.
Potential expansion, and if
Okay.
not, then he'd like the flexibility of having this use permit so that he can market this to Oroville Hospital or some other organization.
Okay, great. That's
So
what I
as
thought.
is a retail center or?
So it's general commercial. That's how the parking requirements are laid out, but based on the general retail requirements. So it could be any retail use, any commercial activity that's allowed in the MXC
All right, so you
zone.
could do, so what if you want to do, say, like a Togo's or
That would be allowed in
an
this.
ice cream parlor or
Those,
anything else?
those
can go
yeah,
in there as
restaurants
well?
would be allowed in this space. Yeah.
Okay. As well as office?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I think it was good. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Open to a motion. Sorry, open to a motion?
Which one is it?
I move to approve item 3 as stated on the agenda.
A second.
Motion and a second, please open voting.
Where did you see that? What's on my stupid thing?
I'm gonna make a record.
Motion
Probably.
carries with 4 yeses and 2 absent.
I was looking for, oh, okay.
We didn't hear from the painting of the apartment. They were gonna come back maybe, because we met at the DRC, you know, they're painting the apartment on Myers before
We
the
will-
railroad tracks.
We will see them again at the next development review
Okay.
committee meeting. Yeah.
They're remodeling or just cleaning that all up. Yeah.
Well, we're open to commissioner reports. Any commissioners have reports?
I did, but I am still gonna wait for Carl
Okay.
for the Bank of Italy. So
Okay.
he's coming back next, well, we're having an early one next month, right? Before Thanksgiving, so it's like in just a few weeks.
That'll be November
17th,
17th.
I think I saw. Okay.
November 17th, so.
The Thursday before.
It is more difficult for me to make the DRC meetings since my son started school, because I pick him up at 3 a lot of times, so I have to find somebody to pick him up.
Okay.
So I'll make it when I can.
Okay. I think we're about to cycle through you on DRC anyways, so, I think it's every 3 months, and then we rotate. But,
We also did reschedule those meetings for 3 PM for Natalie's convenience for her job. So if she's no longer on there, we are flexible to schedule it whenever the commissioners can be there.
That's like every 6 months, right?
rotate
Are they 6 months or 3 months?
6 months.
6 months.
But 3 months in between commissioners rotating, is my recollection.
Well, you've been on it a year now.
Didn't that come in after you? I don't really know. This has to be written down somewhere, right? Where we do this.
We have it.
I think I-
Now I'm confused.
My understanding is that you rotate through that. So when Natalie goes off, then Jenkins would become chair and then someone else rotates in. So it kind of, there's a staggering.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you were on, you were chair. I think I joined in. I think it's time for me to go off.
We'll figure it out and we'll email you guys an update.
Your turn.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Everyone.
I got 2 kids with me.
I'll watch them.
They're pretty informal meetings.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't have
Okay.
I guess no historical advisory commission reports, that's delayed. Staff reports.
Yes, the November 10th Development Review Committee meeting will, as Danny mentioned, be a relook at the designs for that Myers High Street apartment building. He has been changing his plans continuously
Oh.
since we met before.
Okay.
So we've told him that by November 10th, he has to have a plan that he's prepared to live with and not change. Also there on that schedule will be a review of the detailed design of the Lincoln Affordable project, which has 60 units affordable senior and 60 units affordable family on South Lincoln, opposite C Street there.
Oh, yeah.
On the slope on the right-hand side. The DRC did review preliminary plans, and these will be more detailed plans suitable for DRC, full DRC review and approval and conditioning. City Council meeting November 1st, which is next Tuesday, will be the second reading of the small lot development standards that you all reviewed a couple of months ago. And then, Danny, did you want to talk about the $500,000 grant that's also on the agenda?
So we were awarded we applied for and have been awarded a $500,000 grant for pre-construction planning costs associated with deploying broadband in focusing on unserved and underserved areas in Oroville. And this will be an overview of that, and then the city council will vote to accept the award.
Well, that's good.
And so we'll have the award is, the money is going to be administered and managed by the Golden State Connect Authority, and they have contracted Tilson Technology and Utopia Fiber to do the planning work.
How does broadband relate to 3G, 4G, and 5G? Like, are those?
Broadband is just generally high-speed internet.
Okay.
So this is fiber optic cables that are in the ground, which wireless could build off of that and extend that range. But this is the physical network that would go in the public utility right away.
And where do we not have that now? Do you know?
Underserved areas are mostly in our industrial area in South Oroville and South Oroville, the residential area as well.
Okay.
And there are some areas downtown that could be improved. But
I know we've had problems through Oroville, like the ATMs are on that, right? Mm-hmm. And their card readers go down because they don't have high-speed internet.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that the maps that are available are not necessarily the best. That was something that was mentioned at the kickoff meeting for these funds. So they may or may not be outdated, but Oroville did have unserved and underserved areas in the places that I mentioned.
So how do you go about figuring that out? You check with all the businesses where you think that does seem like a hard thing to gather.
Basically, door-to-door address,
Okay.
self-reporting type of thing
was wondering.
is the only way to improve that database that they have. There's a challenge process for the speeds that they have, which I can kind of go into more detail, or which I will go into more detail on with council
Okay.
if they ask.
So the Planning Commission, as we've discussed, is November 17th, and there are no items on the agenda at this time. There certainly will be, I'm sure. We are trying to schedule, we have two large projects that we're reviewing. One is the Gold Creek Commons. We'll try and get that. We've got all the information in, so now we have to evaluate it and do a couple of meetings. on this project. It's the very big project with 100 on Lincoln there, just north of Popeyes, or Louisiana.
Is this a
Popeyes.
subterranean?
Popeyes.
Yeah.
Is this a
Popeyes Louisiana
subterranean
Kitchen.
garage project?
Yes, this is
Okay.
the subterranean
why.
garage project.
The Gold Creek. Sounds like a casino.
And we're also working on the 172-unit subdivision out by the airport on 20th Street. And we are beginning to prepare an environmental impact report for that project because it would have to be rezoned. It's vacant land. There's some wetland and biology issues, and it's underneath the airport flight path, so we have to do some analytical work there. So those will come to you perhaps in December, but more likely after the first of the year. And then lastly, as you all know, there is a election November 8th, which is the first since districting was initiated here, and that will involve some shifts in council representation and perhaps some policy changes and some new ways of thinking about things depending on the outcomes of the elections.
You mean for planning?
Yes,
The way we-
the council appoints the planning commissioners, and so they serve at the pleasure of the
Right.
of the city council. So that's one thing, and then the other is that there may be shifts in emphasis on projects and some of the other things that we do.
And when new councils come in, they set goals as to how they would like to see the city move forward. So that may cause a shift as well.
Is there anything going, at the old Bank of America building got torn down?
I don't remember which bank it was, if it was Bank of America. But
It was in the Rayleigh's parking lot?
Yep. It was torn down. As far as we've heard, that it was just torn down.
Just no plan, just make
No
it
plan. Yep. It's
a
just on the
pad,
market.
buildable pad?
We
Yeah,
have.
because go ahead.
We have had early discussions about putting something on that pad and also the vacant pad up at the top of the hill there along Oro Dam that's used to have a bank, I guess, as well.
Yeah, I just drove by and it was gone.
It's less of an eyesore.
It is less, that's a good thing. Yeah,
Can't vandalize it.
Yeah.
yeah. And then what's being built on Myers is that lot, it's all split-face concrete block in there?
On the other side of the railroad
That's
tracks?
a parking lot.
That's gonna be a
for-
parking lot?
It's a parking lot.
For what?
The adjacent building.
Really? Quite the expensive parking lot.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
But yeah, so they purchased that property from the city, and it's now going to be a park, because the employees for the adjacent facility park across the street in the old abandoned rail yard or rail easement. And so now that will be an employee parking for that facility.
Oh, how nice. Oh, okay.
And will it have landscaping when you make a parking lot? Do you have landscaping?
Yes, I
or-
believe that they
okay.
constructed planters at the front
I was
of it,
wondering what those.
on either side of the entrance.
And the cinder block, that's the finished entrance?
I believe so. I haven't seen plans for it.
Wonderful.
Okay, we will adjourn until November 17th, 2022 at 6 PM.
I have a question. Remember